Hi, I go by Crow's Dead, and I just paid someone on Fiverr $50 to write the most terrifying story they could. Am I happy about this purchase? I don't know, but that's what we're going to find out. I'm definitely going to want your thoughts on this one, so let me know what you think of this story. Also, if you can, share this video with a friend that you think could write a better horror story and see if they think it was worth the $50. If you enjoy my narration, I'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks. Anyways, let's get to the story. It's called Tusco Drive. I do not believe in ghosts. As a journalist, I deal with facts and substantiated data, not in rumor, gossip, or the frenzied tales of some terrified housewife who thinks she's communicated with the afterlife. Even when my editor sent me the brief for this month's cover feature, A Night in Tusco's Haunted Hotel, I'd scoffed at the idea. That is, until my editor had made it very clear that it was either this feature or a far scarier conversation about my future at the Tusco Traveler. So, already mentally composing my myth-busting first page, I had got into the Traveler's ancient pool car and headed out to the motel just off Highway 32. Jesus, I thought, as I turned into the parking lot. It looked exactly like the kind of place someone would describe as haunted. Faded shutters covered most of the windows, and the pool out front, shut off from the rest of the complex by a graying picket fence, was morbidly green. Getting into that pool was a fast track to the emergency room, and a month's worth of antibiotics at least. It was getting close to sundown as I lugged my carry-on bag from the trunk of the car. With an ominous click which might have made a lesser man jump, the Tusco Drive motel's neon sign pinged into life. Well, part of it did. Some of the letters merely pulsed on and off, so the sign actually read, Tusco Die. That's neat, I thought. Someone's having a big laugh about that one. I approached the front desk where a clerk who looked as though he was already several beers into the evening eyed the email reservation on my phone. A cheery note above the desk read, Welcome to Tusco Drive, Tusco's most haunted hotel. Stay the night, if you dare. Way to pull in the geeks and freaks, I thought. That thing sells rooms? I asked the clerk. Sometimes, came the reply. But mostly they come for the free cable and the sexy channels. I smirked. So, it was that kind of place. You're staying in 37, said the clerk in a bored monotone, indicating down the hall. It's along there. Remember to knock 3 times before you enter, to appease the spirits who dwell within. Yeah, right, I thought, taking the key and walking along the corridor. I didn't like the way the clerk's eyes followed me as I left. Kid was probably high as well as drunk. It was that kind of place, after all. The long hallway had doors leading off to either side, and the wallpaper was the kind of vibrant pastel green which might have been in fashion a few decades ago. Now, though, it was marked in places and pulled away from the walls in others, so it looked grubby and disused. Probably kept that way on purpose, I thought. Helps to make the ghost freaks feel at home. I reached a door with the number 37 etched into its brass nameplate. The number was all scuffed and scratched, like it hadn't been touched in years. Let's hope the rest of the room has been treated to a clean, I thought, turning the key into the lock and opening the door. As I did so, I remembered the clerk's instructions about knocking 3 times. Screw that. I was tired. I wanted to sleep, and I wanted to get this night over with so I could crank out my story in the morning. A night in Tusco's most haunted hotel. Busting a tourist trap, I muttered into the empty room. The early evening passed smoothly enough. The Red Lobster across the street had passable food, and when my eating allowance couldn't cover any more beer, the room's small TV provided a little light entertainment. Soon, though, my eyes grew heavy, and I figured I might as well get some sleep. Setting the alarm firmly for 8 a.m., I sunk into the soft sheets of the bed, thinking once again that this place really was a tourist trap, and I closed my eyes. I eventually woke in the darkness. I turned over to see what time it was, but my phone's display was blank. Great, I thought. Damn travel charger must be playing up again. In the darkness, I fumbled for the bedside light. That didn't work. I clicked the small switch on and off several times, but the bulb stayed off. Okay, this was the scam. Cut the power in the middle of the night and the ghost freaks think they're having a paranormal experience. Big win, I thought, picturing the desk clerk high as a kite, flipping a switch at the front desk. I turned back over, burying my head in the surprisingly comfortable pillow. And that's when it started. A low moan, almost a whisper, reached my ears. I sat up in bed, searching for a small speaker hidden somewhere among the 1970 decor. The noise was growing louder with each passing second, turning from a whisper to a shout, and then on to a scream. Soon it was filling my head. I couldn't hear anything but its terrible sound. "Shut the hell up!" I screamed into the darkness. "You'll wake up every damn room in this dump with that noise. I get it, point proven." It didn't stop. Instead, it only got louder. Louder and louder until I was sure my ears were bleeding. I felt my way along the wall by the bed to the bathroom and reached for the pull cord to turn on the light. To my surprise, the bulb in the ceiling came on, bathing the room in a comforting glow. And at that very moment, the screaming stopped. The silence in the room was deafening, and I stared into the mirror, trying to collect my thoughts. It took me a few moments to realize that the face staring back at me was not my own. It looked like me, but it was like a bad waxwork figure. The face was gaunt and gray, as though the skin was stretched too tightly over the bones of the skull. And the scars, they were everywhere. Some were old and faded, others were fresh and bleeding. That was horrifying. But they weren't what I was looking at. Instead, I was transfixed by the eyes. The red, glowing eyes of this creature which stared solemnly back at me. I backed away, fear flooding my senses for the first time in my adult life. The rest I could explain. The broken light, and phone charger, and the piped-in sound. But this was not science. This was something else. I closed my eyes, clenching them tightly until they hurt, then opened them again. The face still stared back at me, unmoving, unyielding, just there, and the eyes continued to bore into my soul. I watched the figure in the mirror reach out its hand to touch the glass, and I felt compelled to do the same. I didn't want to. In fact, I wanted anything else but this. But I couldn't stop. I saw my own arm extend and reach out from the mirror as the figure did the same. I tried to pull my hand back, but it was as if I was no longer in control of its actions. My index finger extended, ready to touch the mirror, and the figure in the glass did the same. In the moment before my finger touched the glass, I swear I saw the figure in the glass smile. A cruel, thin smile spread across its blood-red lips. And then I blacked out, falling with a heavy thud onto the bathroom floor. I awoke with a start to the blaring sound of my phone alarm going off on the bedside table. I groaned, wondering how I'd managed to fall asleep spread eagle on the bathroom floor. That damn Red Lobster must have repeated on me, I thought, packing my belongings and hurriedly preparing to leave. What a crock of crap, I thought. I was going to enjoy telling the Tusco Traveler's readers and my editor that this was nothing more than a tourist trap for ghost fanatics. With some satisfaction, I took one last look around the room and closed the door behind me. Walking along the hall, I fumbled for the car keys and prepared to give the desk clerk a piece of my mind about the quality of these walls. Whole place could do with a good coat of paint, I thought, as I rounded the corner by the reception desk. To my surprise, the desk clerk looked white as a sheet as I approached the desk. The man's eyes, which last night had seemed glazed over and barely present, were now wide with fright. I watched the color drain from the man's face as I handed over my key, choosing more comforting words than I originally planned for fear of striking down the poor guy. "Michael Gray, I'm checking out of room 37. I motioned to the cheery sign above the door, still proudly proclaiming that the hotel was haunted. "You'll need to try harder than that next time." The clerk's next words will stay with me forever. You've already checked out, Mr. Gray. You checked out about an hour ago. And you said not to trust anyone who looked like you who came after. You said that if I didn't, that you'd come back for me and my family. I never saw the barrel of the pistol below the desk, but the clerk had been clenching it tightly this whole time. It went off with a sharp crack, and for the second time in less than 12 hours, I slumped to the floor. As I lay on the faded rug, my vision becoming blurry and a strange pain spreading across my stomach, I looked out into the parking lot. At the wheel of a battered pool car with a Tusco Traveler sticker proudly pasted in its window, I saw a grim-faced figure smile. So, there you have it. That's the story. What did you think? Terrifying? Or was it just meh? Was it worth $50? I'm gonna say yes. Sure, I would have loved for them to go into more detail and slow down the pacing, but when you're given a word count limit of like 1,500, that's as much as you're probably gonna get. I definitely think it was a great job though, so there's that. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, or if you enjoyed that story, let me know what you think. Comment below and subscribe for more scary, creepy stuff. Thanks.